Hello everybody, and welcome back to another video. My name is Martin, and today I'll be showing you a Crosswind Landing.
Altimeter setting.
And I'll be describing you I'll be showing you guys through the landing techniques in the Crosswind. So, we're a crosswind landing. And what is a crosswind? So, a crosswind is basically a wind that is coming sort of like perpendicularly to the airplane's direction, right? And headwind is where the wind points directly at you, right? At the airplane. And then the tailwind is wind that's behind the airplane, right? So yeah, headwind will increase the plane's performance. It'll increase the plane's airspeed but decrease the plane's ground speed, right? There's of course higher airflow, means like slower progress over the ground. Tailwind increases the plane's ground speed. It just like gives the plane a little bit of an extra push, right? So it's gonna make fast progress over the ground. Now crosswind is gonna want to like turn the airplane over to one side, because if I can actually see the show projection parameter. So I actually want to like you guys like where the wind would, like the airflow thing. Let me try that. Let me see. Okay, so this is so maybe I'll just like show you with my keyboard. All right. So why would a crosswind make the airplane want to turn into the wind? Well, mainly like the crosswind is the wind is going to be hitting the plane's tail, right? And as you remember, right, in my video about stalls, the plane will turn around its normal axis, right? And like the control surface that's going to be controlling the that is the controls yaw is rudder, right? Is the rudder. And when it hits the plane's tail, it'll generally make the airplane want to turn to the left, right? So, turn one side. So, if you want a visual aid, just like get like an airplane model. Point your finger at like one side of the tail fin, right? The vertical stabilizer that you can see right over here. and see what happens. Alright. So now we know what the crosswind is. So then, what are some of the techniques of to do the crosswind landing? Well, there are a few techniques. But of course, like on final approach, like for crosswind landings, the airplane is going to be in a crab configuration. So like the plane's nose is going to be pointed slightly, it's going to be at an angle relative to the runway. So like its ground track is going to be towards the runway, but like its heading is going to be offset a bit, right? And pilots have to counter, and this is to compensate for the wind, right? Because if the wind blows the airplane over to, one, like the wind, if you maintain your heading onto the runway, and then there's a crosswind that's gonna be, they're like blowing like directly, like perpendicular towards the airplane. Well, then the plane will sort of want to like drift off course, right? So if you don't like compensate for that, the plane will drift off, right, to the right, right? So yeah, so you want to like use the rudder to like, get the plane, line up like facing more like into, so more like into the wind, so that way, you're always going to be lined up with the runway, right? But yeah, like what I said about crosswind, like making the airplane turn, that's going to be on the ground, right? So in the air, it's going to cause the plane to drift off course, right? So the wind's going to push it. If let's say the wind's coming from the left, it's going to push the plane to the right. So you got to point the plane more into the wind. And you can do that by maybe crossing the controls, right? So you would put the rudder in one direction. You would put the rudder, right, in one direction, and you would turn the control column in the other control wheel in the other direction. All right. So let me show you what that is. It's called side slipping. All right. So let's say that all right. So you see the rudder being traveled like. So you see the rudder is to the right. The rudder is pointing to the right. Or the aileron's pointing. So the rudder is pointing right. But the aileron is pointing to the left. Right? The control wheel is pointing to the left. That's called a side slip. Okay? It's normally done in gliders, but it can also be done for crosswind landing. Alright, so cross your controls. And then once you land, when it comes to like touching down, there are three main ways of doing this. So the first way is to decrab the airplane. Right, let me get this control column centered again. So first way is to decrab the airplane during the flare, which means so you push the rudder so that the airplane's nose aligns with the runway. But then of course you have to add in the opposite control column inputs, like in the opposite direction, because of course as the airplane turns, like yaws, like it's gonna create a rolling motion, right? Let's say you push the rudder to the right, the plane will yaw and roll to the right at the same time, like at around the, no, not necessarily the same time, but like the plane's gonna yaw and then roll to the right. So you have to turn the control column to the left. So that way the plane stays wings level. And that's commonly used in like on dry runways. Alright? Like when the runway is dry and there's no sort of like braking limitations that you have to worry about, then it's highly recommended to use the decrabbing during the flare method. Then the second method is touching down in the crab configuration. So once the plane is all like it's in the crab configuration, so the plane's nose points at an angle to the runway, you touch down like that. You touch down in that attitude. And then after you touch down, you apply the rudder and then the ailer opposite. You apply the opposite control inputs, right? So rudder and opposite aileron. And this is to, get more effective braking, right? And this is typically done on wet or contaminated runways, right? On dry runways, touchdown and crab is not recommended. And today what I'm going to be showing you is the decrab during the flare method. And then I'll save the touchdown in crab method for another time. So all you guys have to know is a side slip. Alright? So push the rudder to the right, control wheel goes to the left. That is side slip. Alright? Rudder's pointing left, aileron's pointing right. So yeah, that's a side slip. Alright? That's all you guys need to know for this video. And right now we have some crosswind activity going on. So yeah, this landing will be a bit challenging, but not too challenging. Alright? So, I'm going to descend to 1,000 feet. And... Alright, now we're landing at Munich Airport in a crosswind right now. I gotta try to get back here. The slope. Okay. 100. Okay. Okay.
50. 30. 10.
Long landing. Landing. 1,000 feet
Brakes
remaining.
Up. Thrust reverse normal. Okay. Alright. And knots. Okay. Oof. Okay. Let's see that replay. I came out of the crab. So yeah, I was sliding a bit, and yeah, that was bad landing for my. That was bad for my engines. Yeah, so this will take a bit of practice. It's definitely not a good way to actually land in a crosswind. But you guys get the idea, right? So, soon as you try to decrab the airplane, make sure you have your ailerons pointing in the opposite direction of the rudder. And yeah, you will be, and yeah, just hold that until you're centered on the runway, and then plant your plane down. All right, you don't have to like you don't have to worry about the smoothness of the touchdown as long as like the touchdown is good. All right, like as long as like you can be able to stop the airplane within the runway. That's good. And yeah. So that's this was video, guys. Hope you enjoyed it, and like, subscribe, and activate the notification bell for more of these videos. Catch you guys in the next one. Take care and stay safe. Goodbye. I'm gonna fly this whole thing raw data. So. Okay. I'm trying to maintain the speed, so like 50% is good. Or. Alright. And then. Yeah, so. So I just need to point my plane right into the wind. So. I think that's about it. Alright, landing. Back on the glide slope.
Too fast. Too fast.
Okay. Move fast. Hold on. Side slip the airplane. Okay. Man.
Approaching 1-5.
Okay. It's going to.
Too high. Too high.
Yeah, I know.
Too high. Too high. Too fast. Too fast.
500. Okay, we're gonna land.
Unstable. Unstable.
To the left. Okay. Alright. This is gonna be challenging. Alright, so we're going to land in like a crab configuration.
Caution. Taxiway. Caution. Taxiway.
Go around.
Long landing. Long landing. 3,000 feet remaining. 2,000 remaining.
Alright, so we are on final approach to New York right now, in our crosswind. And yeah, so let's do it.
Unstable. Unstable.
Okay. Let's try to get back on track there. Okay.
400.
400 feet. Okay. Okay.
300.
Side slip, come on. Okay. Too high, okay.
200.
Sink rate. Sink rate.
100.
Okay.
50.
Okay.
40. 30. 20.
Long landing. Long landing. 1,000
okay.
feet remaining.
Okay. He breaks up. Thrust reverse. Normal.
Caution. On taxiway. On taxiway.
Reverse levers, idle 60 knots.
80 knots.
Done. Reverse levers, closed 30 knots.
Big thank you to Greg, Masoud, and